name's Sarah. I mainly go to High Park Gym, but I do frequent Manor every now and then. I've been working with Veronica for a year. So I did a 6-week program with her, and then I thought it was a good idea. Well, I guess let me back off and say why I did it. So I was trying to lose body fat, and basically I was doing the yo-yo dieting, I was trying to do fat diet, I was trying to be paleo, and when that didn't work in a week, I gave up. And so I wanted someone to be, first off, hold me accountable and go on MyFitnessPal and tell me if I'm eating too much sodium or if I'm not hitting my protein or what have you. So I did it with Veronica for 6 weeks, and then I lost, I think, like 10 pounds the first time. And then I tried to do it on my own, and then I just pretty much maintained the whole time, and which at least told me that I learned at least the basics, and I could at least maintain even if I didn't actually finally keep going with it. And then I recently came back this past January. I've been working here literally since January, and I lost another 10 pounds, and I lost 8% of body fat, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
But what Veronica really told me or taught me was about habits. I meal prep all my meals. Every Sunday, I dedicate a couple hours to make my breakfast. At least plan out my breakfast because I cook my breakfast every morning. But plan out all my lunches, all my snacks, and actually plan out most of my dinners. And if I have to make a dinner every now and then, that's fine. Because what I was finding is that if I went home and I was, if you're trying to lose body fat, you're going to be a little hungry. So I got home, I started making my dinner, but then I started picking at things while I'm making my dinner, which was like then all of a sudden you're eating a dinner and a half, the whole thing happens. And the other part I was doing, which some of you may or may not do too, but going out with my friends over the weekend. So all of a sudden I went out on Friday night, and not that I don't do that anymore, but I've definitely learned to cut back. But go out on Friday night, have drinks, then you have late night food, and then it just cycles over the whole weekend, or you're hungover the next day, and then you don't want to eat healthy the next day, you want to have macaroni and cheese and like some good hangover food. So I would be great throughout the whole week, and I'd be like, yes, and then I would just spoil it over the weekend. And I guess having Veronica around really held me more accountable throughout the entire week, and and it taught me a lot more about food. I track everything, and I go by macros, so whether or not that's...
But she's on phase 4.
Yeah, so whether or not you're there yet, but I think it's more of a kind of a game, like how could we do the whole whatever fits your macros kind of thing. So 90% of my food is very healthy, and then I try to fit in like my Cheetos or something every now and then I have to. But for me it's more like playing around and trying to see how much food I can fit into my calories and my macros.
Do you have a stressful job?
I mean, it can be stressful, but I also sit at a desk all day. So, but I'm also the person that brings like a huge cooler of food, and everyone's like, I eat every 2 hours, or else I'll get hangry. What else?
I don't know. She's done really well, but it has taken her a year to get there, and the beginning was rough.
And sometimes I really do get, since I do track everything, I do get overwhelmed at some points, and then I just take a day off or take a couple days off, and I'm like, I need to refresh. I need to not like go on a total bender, but I just need to, I need to not worry about MyFitnessPal, because sometimes it can be stressful after you're trying to log in everything, you've prepped everything, and it can be just kind of exhausting. Because I always think about like new ways I can, I don't know. I constantly meal plan in my head. Oh, I should make that, or just things like that, I guess. But what I do have to say is that my main staple for every lunch is sort of like burrito bowl. Because you can make that. You can make a bunch of ground turkey, quinoa, or rice, whatever and I just do that for the whole week. And then I don't have to worry about lunch. And also going out to eat was also a big problem for me, because anytime you go out to eat, you really have no idea what they're putting into the food. How much oil they're using when they're cooking, and all of a sudden, without you knowing, you thought you ordered something super healthy, it turned out to be like 800 calories. So I really turned down on the drinking and the going out to eat. But yeah, that's,
So those were the patterns that you found.
those are my patterns, yeah. That
Right.
I was, go out drinking on the weekend, then that would be,
So
unhealthy food and
so my pattern recently has been picking at my kids' food. And they're like dinosaur little thing. Like, I don't even like them, but he eats them and he looks so cute eating them that I'm just like, oh, that's so cute. So that's my pattern. I'm like, okay, I need to stop doing that because it just like, it adds up. And then I looked at the back of the nutrition labels and I was like, oh my God, I'm just eating sugar. Like, and I'm feeding my kids sugar. So those are like little things that, and it happens, like little things that just happen throughout your day and it just consistent. You're like, oh my God, like I do that, right? Thank you. That was awesome. Good job.
And if anyone is on MyFitnessPal, you can friend me and look at my food log anytime if you need inspiration or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. Mine's always open so you guys can see or you can see what kind of foods she's eating and like, oh, I could try that. Like maybe I'll pair it with that. So mine's always up. You guys can look at mine, but you just need to friend me to look at your food log. And then if you don't want to look at your food log, let me know what you're doing or let your partner know what you're doing. So that way we can keep track of you that way. Okay. So at this point, I want you and your partner to talk. And that way you can get the answers that you wrote down with each other so you know where your partner is and like how they're going to create their program and where they're going to start. Yes.
Just a question, clarification of the carbs. So are you saying that you usually either do a fibrous or simple or complex or not?
No. Your fibrous carbs are your given. Those are your fun things, right? So like I said, you could eat a bag full of spinach and be so sick and tired of spinach, right? So, I mean, you're never going to finish a bag of spinach, right? Probably, unless you saute it. Yeah. So this is your given. Yeah, if you want to throw in carrots, throw in tomatoes, throw in salsa, those things are the fun things. Like, throw those in there. Yeah. Simple carbohydrates are going to be, remember, morning or after workout. Yeah. And then your complex carbs are going to be leaned out toward the end. By the end of the night, you should be like lean, lean, lean. Because you should have already had most of your complex carbs during the day. Because
I mean that you're not doing like in one meal, you're not doing simple carb and
sometimes I do, sometimes, but then I'll trim back on the complex carb, right? So then I would do maybe, I don't know, maybe you'll do like a full packet of, I don't know how you guys do the oatmeal. I do mine by packets. So like if I do a full oatmeal, I'm like, it's the morning, it's not that much oatmeal. I'll just throw in some berries in there because I can afford it. It's like having a bank account like every day. Like don't go over on your bank account, right? You want to budget. So it's the same thing. Yeah. So you could have it because it's during the day. Throw it in there. But not at night. Like at night, you should have already had your meals. By the time you get to nighttime, you shouldn't be starving. You should just be like, oh, I'll just have a little bit of something, and I'm hungry enough to eat. But if you're hungry by dinner, either one, you don't have enough calories. That means the activity level, it's probably too low. Or if you're starving by the end of the day, you're not eating your complex carbs during the beginning of the day. So that's another thing that you have to look out for. Okay, if you're starving by the end of the day, yeah, you might be too low on calories and you're not fueling your body enough. So you have to listen, yeah, that's really good. So you have to listen through it throughout the week.
What veggies are considered complex carbs? Anything else?
I would categorize like potatoes, red potatoes, sweet potatoes under starchy. Because yes, it's a vegetable, but to me it's still starchy. So I categorize that under.
So what about like carrots or like any other root?
Nope. Everything else is good. Your potatoes are pretty much under your. That's the only tricky one. That's. Nope. No, go for it. Yeah, you're fine. Yeah, you won't eat the full squash, is what I'm saying. Like you'll eat. So you'll start noticing things. Like once you start tracking, then you'll start noticing things. So that's why I'm saying like start to track your food, because then you start noticing patterns and you're like, oh, I can pull back on that versus you just having it.
I like, for example, today I made a salad at lunch and I had like roasted some butternut squash last night, so I put that on top of my spinach. But I also knew I needed a fat, so I added some cashews to it, not a lot, and I like had put pork tenderloin pieces in one of the kids' lunch that they didn't finish, so I put that on top of the salad. Like, I have zero desire to type in all of these things into MyFitnessPal.
Okay.
Would a scale, like, do you know what because
I do it.
Okay.
That's what I do. So I buy my goal is to get leaner. Well, that's another thing. It's like, for example, like look at Ryan. Ryan looks great, right? But okay, her goal is to tone up her muscle. So for her, she needs to start doing that because she looks great. And so she needs to do something else that's tweaky, that she needs to be more diligent on it versus somebody who needs to lose 30 pounds and doesn't need to do the weight scale. I'm only saying track if you don't know where you are. Like if you don't know where you are, track your food for 2 weeks, 3 weeks and see how you do. And then you start seeing patterns. But yeah, so what I do is I have a scale I got off of Amazon and then I put the bowl on top of it, I zero out, and then I'll just do the grams from there. Does that make sense? So like I'll zero it out, do avocado, 30 grams of avocado, zero it out, 30 grams of I try to stay with the same number so I remember it.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? So that way I'm not like, was that 22 or 23? Like it doesn't matter. Just as long as you're around that, you're heading in the right direction. Yeah? It's gonna be hard, guys. So you have me, you have your partner to help. If you get stuck, if you're like, I didn't understand what the heck you said, come see me. I will sit down and I will go through it with you so that way you kind of have more of a directional of where to go. But what I want you guys to do now is just kind of go through with your partner and then get your book if you want to get your book. And then there's food back there for you guys to get. So we'll do that, and then I think that's it, guys. So we'll end it with talking to your partner. Come ask me questions if you have questions right now. I'm going to stick around for about another 30 minutes so you guys can chat after that, okay? So make sure your partner knows who you are, okay?